Right, you're welcome to my channel once again. Of course, you know how we used to do it in this particular channel, giving you short and precise videos on some important questions and of course their solutions. Now, when you're just looking at the solutions, we are trying to look at the terminologies that are used in the questions so that we can be able to use to solve other questions that are related to that particular topic. Now, I have many questions to analyze today, and I have a lot of shortcuts to share with you today. So all you have to do is to subscribe, of course, like, and of course, share with your friends. Now, look at this particular question without wasting much time because I have a lot of questions to analyze today. Muzari is on fire today. Now, how many grams? Now look at it. Say how many grams of sodium dichromate, they gave the formula, lucky you, should be added to 100 ml of 100 ml volumetric flask to prepare 0.025 molar when the flask is filled to mark with water. Now, when you come across a question like this, first of all, you take a deep breath, you relax yourself, you don't rush, you calm down so that you don't make mistakes. Now, you have to look at what were you given and what are you asked to calculate for. Now, remember, we asked to calculate for grams. That means they said you are looking for what? For mass. Don't be a fool. Now, look at what you're going to do. They gave us what? They gave us the mu, which is volume, and they gave us molar, trying to say molar concentration or what? Molarity. So let's jump into the matter. Now, what you are going to do in this situation very quickly, I want to use this opportunity to bring out some formulas so that we don't just cram the question. We have to be very careful. So in case we come across something like this, we know how to work to solve it. Now, remember that molar concentration, which is molarity, is equals to number of moles over what? Over volume. Now, pay attention again that this number of moles, the number of moles is equals to what? Mass over what? Over molar mass. Now, what you're going to do is that we can infuse this number of moles into this formula. But first, if I cross multiply, I'm going to have N is equals to what? CV. Slow and steady, don't rush it. Now, if you infuse this formula into this place, what you're going to do is you're going to have mass over molar mass is equals to CV. Now, for those of us that are writing post-UTME examinations, those are writing nursing examination, entrance exam into nursing school, you have to be very careful when it comes to these questions. Now, what you do cross multiply, what are we going to have? We're going to have what? We're going to have what? Mass is equals to what? MCV. Now, this formula, if you look at this particular question, I can actually use this formula to get this question down. How are we going to do it? Because why? They gave us mass, or rather you are being asked to calculate for mass. They gave us concentration, molarity. Of course, they gave us what? Volume. Now I can actually get the molar mass of the compound. Now that is where my shortcut comes in. In case you are not given the atomic mass of an element in a particular question and you don't know it, how are you going to get it? Now listen to the shortcut. Now remember, our formula says we are going to use this formula. Now bring it up here. Mass is equals to what? MCV. Now don't rush. What you're going to do in this situation, you will notice that yes, we're not giving the what? The molar mass. How are you going to calculate for it? This is where I want you to tag along and let's check it out. Now remember, the compound is Na2Cr2O7. Now, it's easy for you to know the atomic mass of the first 20 elements, though I'm going to give you a shortcut on how to get the atomic mass in case you are not given in a particular word question. Now, the problem that you might face here, even with students that are familiar with chemistry and their symbols and their atomic masses, is the atomic mass of what? Of chromium. Now, you can easily know that of what? That of sodium. Now, if you want to know that of chromium, how are you going to go about it? Now, it's very easy. Remember that chromium is from element 21 down to what? 30. If you want to get the atomic mass of elements from 21 to 30, or you were not given or you forgot it, all you have to do, you have to be very careful to use this simple trick I want to show to you right away. Now let's think of an element. Let's think of an element from 21 to 30. Let's take the very first one, scandium. Let's take scandium. In case I forget the atomic mass of scandium, how can I easily get it? Now it's very easy. Now first 21, so we have scandium, we have titanium, we have vanadium, we have chromium, we have manganese, we have iron, we have cobalt, we have nickel, we have copper, and of course we have zinc. Now, this is the first series of transition elements from 21 down to what? 30. Now, if you want to know the atomic mass of any of these elements, you can actually get it, especially when you know the atomic number. Of course, everybody should know the atomic number of these elements. Now, let's go back to it. Maybe we want to get that of scandium. Look at scandium. Scandium is 21. To get the atomic mass of scandium, all you have to do, 21. Think if the atomic number of the elements is divisible by 7, to get the atomic mass, look at what you're going to do. Now look at 21 is divisible by 7. All you have to do is multiply the atomic number by 2, then add what? Then add 3. You can only apply this rule when the atomic number is divisible by what? By 7. Now look at it. 21 times 2, that will give me 42. 42 plus 3, that will give me what? 45. So the atomic mass of scandium is 45. So you can actually get it. Now look at the chromium that we are posed with. Now check it out. Now that means we can actually get, let's look at 21, 22, 23. That means nickel is 28. I can actually get the atomic mass of nickel without thinking. Why? Nickel is 28, and this 28 is divisible by what? By 7. So because it's divisible by 7, for me to get the atomic mass of nickel, all I have to do, multiply by 2, then add what? And add 3. I'm going to get the answer. So in this situation now, you can actually get it. So if you multiply this by 2, I'm getting what? 56 plus 3, that will give me what? 59. Of course, that is it. Easy. Now, look at the problem that we're posed with here. And what if, okay, there's another instance. What if the atomic number is odd? Well, let's start from even first. What if the atomic number is even atomic number? For instance, 21, 22, 23, 24. Chromium is 24. Now, because chromium is 24 and 24 is even, to get the atomic mass of chromium, all you have to do is to multiply this by 2, then add what? Then add 4. So if I multiply this by 2, what am I going to get? 24 times 2, that will give me what? 48 plus 8 plus 4, that will give me what? That will give me 52. So the atomic mass of what? Of chromium is what? 52. So there's no need to cry or start looking for the atomic masses of elements. You can actually get it by yourself. Now, if the atomic mass is now odd, think of anyone that is odd here. Okay, let's simply use vanadium for instance. 21, 22, 23. Vanadium is odd. 20 what? 3. How are you going to do it in this situation? Because it's odd, multiply by 2, then add what? Then add 5. So what are you going to do? 23 times 2, that will give me what? 46. 46 plus 5, that will give me what? 51. So you can actually get the atomic masses of these elements without what? Thinking or wasting time. So shortcut for you, put it at the back of your mind. Though there's another trick again for you to get the atomic masses of elements from 1 to what? To 20. I will share that with you in my subsequent what video. That's why you have to subscribe so that I get to have the notifications when this video drops. Now let's go back to our solving quickly. Now what are we going to do in this situation now in solving this particular what question? Now remember, we are asked to calculate for the what? For the atomic mass. Sorry, the mass of the elements quickly. That means we can actually get this. So quickly in solving everything here, we're having 46 plus what? We got 52 just now. When we solve this, that will give me times 2, that will give me 104. Multiply is plus 16 times 7, that will give me 112. If you do everything, if you add everything together, we have a 26. So everything is what? Is 26 what? 2. So we are having 262. You know came about that. So quickly to our question, 262 times 0.025 times, remember, in using the volume here, you are not going to obviously use it in form of mil. Remember, you have to convert the mil to liters. Your volume ought to be in liters or in dm cube. So quickly, in converting mil to liters, what you're going to do is to liters, you're going to do what? Divide by what? By 1000. So if you divide this value by 1000, you're going to have 0.1. So if you put this into your calculator quickly, you are going to of course have your what? Your answer. So if you put that into your calculator, you are going to have 262 times 0.025 times 0.1. You are going to arrive at your answer there, and your answer will be what? Your answer will be 0.655. So the answer there is 0.655 grams. Now that would be your answer. So quickly, we have a lot of questions to target today, but one thing that you have noticed in solving this particular question is how to easily get the atomic masses of transition elements. That is one shortcut. Then how to solve a question like this and how to apply the formula. Now put this formula at the back of your mind is very, very necessary. Now quickly, I have another question to share with you still on stochiometry. So quickly, let's look at the other question before we look at other questions. We have about 4 questions to target today. All right, now look at another question on stoichiometry, quite different from the first one that we solved just now. Now, this one is basically coming out from the aspect of stoichiometry, which is what? The mass-mass relationship. Now, when you see a question like this, first thing first is if they are not giving, if they didn't give you the equation, you have to write out the equation and of course balance your equation then before you solve. Now, let's get into it quickly. They said calcium carbonate undergoes thermal decomposition. That means it's being decomposed by heat at high temperature to form calcium oxide and carbon dioxide. They already told us what will happen. What mass of calcium oxide is formed when 60 grams of calcium carbonate is completely what? Decomposed. Now, first thing first, you have to know calcium carbonate is limestone. Then you have to write out the reaction that shows the decomposition of what? Of limestone. Quickly, let's get into it. Now, what is that reaction? What is that particular reaction? This is CaCO3 decomposing to form CaO plus CO2. You know they had. Now look at small, small. Now, if you look at the question very well, check the question. They said when 60 grams of calcium carbonate is completely decomposed, we are being asked to calculate the mass of what? Of calcium oxide. Remember, they did not make mention of carbon 4 oxide in the question. They didn't give us any value for carbon 4 oxide. That is to say, your relationship is between limestone, which is calcium carbonate, and what? And calcium oxide. So it's a mass what kind of a relationship. Now, let's look at it quickly. Now, if you are given something like this, all you have to do, you have to connect it. Calcium carbonate, what mass of calcium oxide will it give to me? First thing first, look for the atomic mass of what? Of calcium carbonate. Remember that calcium is 40, carbon is 12, oxygen is 16 times 3. Now, when you add everything together, I get to have what? 100 to give me what? Calcium is 40 plus 16 to give me what? 56. Now, if you cross multiply, if you get it, that means 100 gives me 56. Therefore, they give us the mass of what? Of calcium carbonate. If 100 gives me 56, therefore 60 gives me what? X. I'm looking for the mass of this guy. All you have to do is what? Cross multiply. Therefore, X is equals to 60 times what? Times 56 over what? Over 100. Now, if you punch this into your calculator or you do it very well, all you have to do is get what we answer will be what 33.1.6 what 0.6 grams. Now, it's not all about solving the question, it's about following the steps to solve the question. So if you encounter a question like this, first thing, if they didn't give you the equation, you have to write out the equation and you have to make sure that the equation is what is balanced. Then you now relate the two compounds involved. Now, why are we relating limestone, which is calcium carbonate, with calcium oxide? Because they gave us the mass of calcium carbonate and they say calcium carbonate undergoes thermal decomposition. That means it was heated, it was decomposed in the presence of what? Of heat. Now, to give me calcium oxide and carbon dioxide. Yes, they said what mass? I'm interested in looking for the mass of calcium oxide that will be formed from that decomposition. So had it been the asked us for the mass of carbon 4 oxide, what I would have done was to say calcium carbonate to carbon 4 oxide. So it depends on what you are given, the parameters given, and what you are being asked to calculate for. So that is how you solve questions like this when it comes to what mass relationship. Now, there are other videos I'm going to bring out that you have to look at mass volume, but I don't like rushing my things. That's why these videos here are usually what short and straight to the point, so that you get to observe it and get to watch them over and over again in case you miss out on any particular explanation. So, like I usually say, do well to subscribe and do well to share with your friends so that they can get to watch and make and get to know all the points as regards what chemistry, making chemistry very, very easy. Chemistry is not that hard, it's very, very simple. All you have to do is to follow the steps. Now, these are the questions that I want to review today. There are other questions, of course, that will be coming up. So pay attention, and of course do well to subscribe, and of course follow the channel. Now all you have to do in your comment section, do well to put those topics that are posing threat or difficulty to you and compiling them. Of course, somebody asked me to look at naming organic compound not too long. So I'm trying to compile those topics, of course, which I will arrange and begin to bring out those necessary what points. Again, my name is Mosjaro, making things easy in what in chemistry. Do well to subscribe, do well to share. Thanks for watching. If you have any question, do well to drop it in the comment section. Thank you very much.